Hello friends, it's Zoe and welcome to this month's bullet journal plan with me. For the month of March, I'm doing a nature, landscape, window type theme. I feel like everyone always chooses a planty or green theme for March, and I am no exception. I'm excited for the start of spring, and it's already feeling a bit warmer here in New Jersey. I feel like every day I look through the window and notice the changes in the weather, like the days getting longer and the sun setting later. I was heavily inspired by these two images I saw on Pinterest. I really liked the yellow and green color palette, and I wanted to incorporate purple too. On the top left, you can see some sketches that I did, testing certain color combinations, and I swear I was staring at that little piece of paper for like 10 minutes trying to decide which shade of purple to go with. But as you can see, I eventually chose sort of a mid-tone purple, and overall I'm really happy with this theme. As you saw in the beginning, I'm really putting my architecture degree to use by pulling out the X-Acto and cutting out these little squares in my page. I thought it would be really fun to put an actual window in my window theme, so that's kind of what that section on the right is, and then on either side of the pages will be kind of this landscape, so that when you flip the page, like two different landscapes will have the window framed. It's hard to explain, but you'll see as we plan it together. But yeah, so for the left, I just drew this kind of rolling hills little landscape, and yes, the water is purple, but who cares? I'm not going for anything realistic. And then just below these illustrations and window, I have my calendar. There's 5 days on the left and 2 days on the right, and that extra space on the right is for some weekly goals that I have. I like to put that next to each week so I can see just how busy each week will be and how much I can actually accomplish. Some weeks are just busier than others, and I probably won't have a goal for those weeks. You can also take this time to look back at your New Year's resolutions or yearly goals and break them down into monthly and weekly goals. This way you can see if you're on track with your resolutions. You can already see that when I flip the page, the landscape becomes framed by the window, which I just think is so fun. On this left-hand side, I am setting up my habit tracker. I just told myself to stick with the same 8 habits for the first quarter of 2025. I think it takes like 90 days to build a habit, so I figured I should at least try to stick with the same habits for 90 days and see how successful I am in that. There are definitely some habits that were more successful and other habits that I slacked on. So I'll probably be keeping the same habits for April as well. But I think it's a good idea not to change up your habits too much. Just be very intentional when you're setting the habit in the first place and actually try to look at your life and see where you can fit in those goals. And don't try to overwhelm yourself with too many habits at once. I think starting with like 3 or 4 is totally fine and pretty doable. You got this. And on the right side, I have my usual recap spread where I write down the highlight of the month, my low of the month, and something random, as well as my favorites, lessons that I learned, and other highlights. Also, in case you're not the biggest fan of drawing or you just don't enjoy illustrating, I thought it would be a cool idea to collage in this theme so that you can just print out some landscapes or pictures that you like and draw windows around that. Yeah, I think the possibilities of a window theme are pretty endless, and I really love the cutout that I did. I just kept like flipping back and forth and admiring the way I did that, so I was very happy with this theme. And on to the next spread, I am setting up my first weekly of March. This is gonna be week 10 of the year already. It's already been 10 weeks, that's kind of crazy, but life goes on, you know? But yeah, in the top left of the spread, I am just kind of copying down the illustration I shared in the beginning with this windowsill planty vibe. And then you'll see I set up the rest of the days of the week in the remaining spread, kind of like dividing the page into quadrants, so 2 columns and 2 rows on each page, which gives you 8 spaces, so 7 for the 7 days of the week, and then 1 space is left blank. So that's why I drew this little doodle here. And then underneath this doodle, I'll probably write what my weekly goal is. So I'll reference back to the monthly calendar and write down what I wrote down there, here. My cousin sent me this podcast by Mel Robbins for a 7-day reset for more time, energy, and happiness, backed by science. And I listened to it while I was eating breakfast, and then took a break, and then listened to it again while I was eating lunch. And it was really a great podcast. Like, I felt so motivated to have a great week after. And I highly recommend anyone listening to this to listen to her podcast. But what really struck me was I feel like bullet journalers know what a brain dump is, where you literally just like word vomit onto a page. Anything that is like taking up space in your brain, every time you write it down, you have like a little bit more wiggle room in your brain to process things. So she recommended you start every week off with a brain dump. And usually that comes up with like things you need to do or things that are just sitting on your mind for months and months. And the second step of her 7-step routine was to actually go in and cross out things that you don't have time for this week, or that you're just not going to do this week. And by like crossing off those things, like literally frees you up so much and allows you to just choose one of those things to tackle this week for like 15 minutes. And she found that, or she didn't find, she saw in her research that people found more joy in making progress on their goals or what they want to do in life. They found more happiness in the progress that they made than the actual day that they accomplished it, which I just think is so interesting. That really shows that you can have like such happy moments when you haven't even completed the task yet. Simply just by working on the task gives yourself so much more happiness. And I don't know, when she said that, I kind of have been feeling those thoughts for a while, just because I've been job hunting, and even though I like haven't gotten the actual job yet, just when I like actually put in the time and work to apply to jobs, I feel just so much happier at the end of the day, because I know that I did what I could that day to move myself in the right direction. So yeah, I just wanted to end my podcast. End this video on that note, and I'm wishing you all a great March, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. You know, listen to that podcast, set yourself up for success, and you got this. I'm here for you. How about we should leave a comment on what you want to make progress on this week? I want to make progress on editing my college vlogs, since I'm still behind on that. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment with your progress, and we'll all hold each other accountable. I hope to see you in the next one.